You've spent years building a life, maybe even a whole legacy. You've raised children, weathered storms, said painful goodbyes, and made peace with solitude. And just when the dust has finally settled, love shows up again. Not with the same urgency as before, but with something gentler. A look, a laugh, a shared Sunday morning that feels like home. But this time, it's different, because you're different. So let me ask you something. Can you fall in love again after 60 and still protect the life you've already built? Because before you say I do again, there are 5 truths you need to know. These aren't tips from a dating site or advice recycled from your younger years. These are the real-life lessons that could shape your happiness, your family, and your peace of mind for decades to come. Before we dive in, if you find comfort in honest conversations like this, hit subscribe. We share stories that don't just pass time, they help make sense of it. When you're in your 20s or 30s, marriage is full of optimism. You're starting a new chapter. You combine your hopes, your energy, your bank accounts, and maybe a starter apartment. You dream about what you can build together. But remarriage after 60, that's a different story. You're not just blending futures, you're merging entire histories. Financial, emotional, legal. You're integrating decades of decisions, responsibilities, and deeply personal habits. It's not just about love, it's about logistics. James, a retired high school principal, learned this the hard way. At 72, after losing his wife to cancer, he met Carol. They clicked immediately. She was warm, vibrant, and had that rare ability to make a room feel lighter. Within a year, they were planning a wedding. What James didn't realize was that his remarriage would affect his social security benefits, which were based on his late wife's record. He also hadn't thought through how Carol's unresolved debt might become his legal problem in their state. Even his will, which left everything to his kids, had to be redrafted from scratch. And that's the thing. Love may be simple, but remarriage is not. It doesn't mean don't do it. It just means do it with your eyes open. Before you join your life with someone else's, sit down with a financial advisor who specializes in older adults. Review your assets, understand how taxes might change. Clarify how pensions, Medicare, and long-term care costs could shift. And maybe consider a prenup, not because you expect the worst, but because you respect each other enough to want clarity. Clarity is love in action. Love doesn't happen in a vacuum, especially not now. At this stage in life, people come with history, children, grandchildren, friendships spanning decades. There are Thanksgivings with adult kids, summer trips with the grandkids, shared pets, even shared grief. Linda, 68, found love again after years of being widowed. Her children were the ones who first encouraged her to put herself out there. "You deserve to be happy, Mum," they said. And so, she opened her heart. Then she met Ed, kind, thoughtful, and just as excited about jazz concerts and crossword puzzles as she was. It felt right, until she got engaged, and suddenly, the mood shifted. Her daughter worried aloud. "What does this mean for your will?" Her son confessed, "I don't really know this man. I don't want to spend holidays making small talk with a stranger." Her youngest grandson, just 7, asked, "Will Grandpa still come to Christmas?" No one was angry, but everyone was uneasy. Remarriage often shakes the family tree. That's why it's essential to have honest conversations early. Talk with your children. Explain why this new relationship matters to you. Acknowledge that change is hard, for them too, and give them time. Let them meet your partner outside of formal events. Invite them into simple, shared moments. Cook together, watch a movie, take a walk. Bonds grow in quiet ways. And while you can't control their feelings, you can control how you show up, with empathy, patience, and transparency. Love can expand to fit a family if you give it space to grow. You might think that after a lifetime of love, loss, or long relationships, you know how to be with someone. But every relationship has its own rhythm. And at this age, that rhythm changes. You're not building from the ground up anymore. You're not chasing careers, raising toddlers, or figuring out life. You're looking for peace, presence, and partnership. That's what George wanted when he met Marie. He had spent 50 years married to someone he adored. After his wife passed, he never thought he'd love again. But Marie surprised him. She was independent, sharp, and had this quiet strength. George imagined they'd fall into a familiar rhythm, cooking together, grocery runs, folding laundry side by side. But Marie had lived alone for 12 years. She had her own routines. She loved reading before bed in silence. She didn't want to move in together yet. She liked her space. George took it personally at first. He worried, does she not love me the same way? But eventually, he learned something crucial. Marie did love him. She just didn't want to lose herself. And maybe that's the best kind of love. One that says, you can keep being you. I'll meet you there. So ask the questions early. How much time do we want together? Do we want to live in one home or two? What routines do we cherish that we want to protect? There is no template. There is only what feels right to both of you. Respecting independence is one of the purest forms of love. No one likes to talk about paperwork, but here's the truth. When you're over 60, marriage becomes a legal partnership with serious consequences. Barbara, 67, was a self-made small business owner. She'd raised 2 kids on her own, built a thriving art gallery, and managed her finances like a pro. When she fell for Tom, a retired Navy vet, the chemistry was instant. They loved the same movies, made each other laugh, and found comfort in each other's quiet presence. Tom proposed. Barbara said yes, but something told her to talk to an attorney first. What she learned startled her. By marrying Tom without a prenup or estate plan, she would legally give him access to her business, her estate, and potentially override decisions meant for her children. It wasn't about distrust. It was about protecting everyone she loved. So they sat down, together, drafted a prenup, updated her will, assigned power of attorney. They even talked through healthcare directives. And in doing that, they protected their future and their relationship. Legal clarity doesn't kill romance. It strengthens trust. Because the last thing you want is for your partner's kids and your kids to end up in conflict. Or worse, in court. Put it all in writing. That's not fear. That's wisdom. At 30, happiness often looks like expansion, more income, a bigger house, a growing family. At 65 or 70, happiness starts to shrink down to the essentials. A morning cup of coffee in peace, a slow walk, a hand to hold, but only if it doesn't disrupt the stillness you fought so hard to earn. Walter, a 72-year-old widower, met Karen at his local gardening club. She was vibrant, spontaneous, full of laughter. They fell in love quickly. Her zest for life felt like oxygen. But after they married, the contrast set in. Karen loved early morning hikes. Walter loved slow mornings with his newspaper. Karen wanted weekend road trips. Walter preferred pottering in the backyard. He found himself tired, overstimulated, constantly adjusting. Not unhappy, but off balance. And that's when it hit him. He hadn't asked himself what kind of life he really wanted before getting remarried. The lesson? Before you walk down the aisle again, ask, what brings me peace? What drains me? What does companionship look like to me now? Maybe it's living apart, but having dinner together every night. Maybe it's merging homes, but keeping separate bank accounts. Maybe it's staying solo, but having someone to travel with. There are no rules, only what aligns with your soul. You've already lived through so many seasons. You know how precious peace is, how fleeting time can feel. So if love comes knocking again, don't rush to open the door. Pause. Reflect. Ask the real questions. Speak the quiet truths. And most importantly, listen to your inner compass. Because remarriage after 60 isn't about recreating your past. It's about honoring your present. You're not starting from scratch. You're adding to a life already rich with meaning. So whether you remarry, stay independent, or discover a new kind of companionship, make sure it honors your peace, your purpose, and your joy. And if this video brought up something for you, a question, a memory, a truth you've been sitting with, I hope you'll share it below. I read every comment. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve a life that feels steady beneath your feet and warm in your heart.